Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kathleen and today's video I wanted to go and share with you guys all of the books that I read during the month of April. I had an incredible reading month. I read a total of 7 books, which I am so proud of, and I read some pretty great books as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first book that I read during the month of April was Defy the Worlds by Claudia Gray. This is the sequel to Defy the Stars, which is a sci-fi book set in outer space. It is about a mech named Abel who is the only one of his line, of his robotic line, and he's been made special. He actually develops a human soul, and he encounters this female soldier from a planet called Genesis, and Genesis is at war with Earth, and together they have to figure out a way to stop their planets from going to war. I love this series so much. It is incredible. I love the characterization and I love the worlds. We get to explore so many different planets on this universe, and I just absolutely love it. And the next book that I read was Proxy by Alex London. This was actually my wrapped book for the month of April, and this is a dystopian world, and it follows these rich people, and they have proxies, and proxies are there to take their punishment. So if they break the law, it's the proxies who have to take the punishment for these rich people. And our main character, he gets in a car accident that ends up killing his passenger, and his proxy is sentenced to death. So now both him and his proxy kind of have to work together in order to make sure that his proxy isn't killed, and I actually ended up really liking this book. I lost interest in this book a long time ago, and that's why it became one of my wrapped books, and I ended up just really enjoying the stories, and I really ended up liking the characters, and I actually ended up buying the sequel because I believe this is a duology. So I ended up buying the sequel, and I'm planning on reading it very soon because I just really liked this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Alright, and then the next book that I read was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is the first in the Shades of Magic series, and this book is very hyped up on BookTube, and I've had the first 2 books for a long time, and I decided to pick it up last month as my reading very hyped books TBR. And this book started off very slow for me. I didn't understand what was going on. I was very confused, and I honestly wasn't into the story, but halfway through the book it really picked up, and I started making all the connections, and I ended up really enjoying this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. In case you guys don't know, it's all about like alternate realities kind of thing. There's different Londons and there's magic in this book, and I really liked the book, but only because towards the end everything started making more sense, and I made all these connections within the stories, and I was like, okay, I can see I really like this. So I ended up giving this book 4 stars. Alright, and then the next book that I read was Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. This is a new adult novel about a school of assassins. So our main character, Mia, she is a new student in the school of assassins. The way it works is that it's almost like a competition. Whoever comes out on top, like the top, I don't remember how many students, 5 students or something, they become the real assassins. They'll be upgraded to become assassins, and the ones who don't quite win the competition, they either die or they become like errand boys or errand girls to the assassins kind of thing. They get the low jobs. So I actually ended up really enjoying this book. Again, it is new adult, so the violence is a little more graphic. There are sex scenes, but otherwise I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining. I really liked our main character, even though sometimes she was a little arrogant, and I feel like she needed to come back down to earth a little, but otherwise I really enjoyed this book, and I cannot wait to read the next one. The next book that I read was Batman Nightwalker by Marie Lu. This was actually the Once Upon a Relong's book pick of the month for the month of April, so we did have our live show recently, which I'll leave a link on the screen for you guys to check it out if you like. But this is all about the origins of Batman. So we are following Bruce Wayne, and he kind of does something to get himself in trouble, and now he's volunteering at a prison ward where he meets this girl, and this girl's bad news. She's in with the bad people. I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I obviously don't want to spoil it, but I did enjoy the book. However, I didn't think the story was memorable, so I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. It was entertaining. I ended up reading this book very quickly. I just feel like it didn't resonate with me. I didn't make any emotional connection to the story or even Bruce Wayne himself, which is usually a red flag for me. So I enjoyed the book for the entertainment purposes of it, but otherwise this book was just okay. So that's why I gave this book 3.5 stars. Alright, and then the next book that I read during the month of April was probably my biggest disappointment so far this year, and it was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, which was very sad because I love Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. It's one of my favorite series of all time, so I was expecting big things from this book, also because it is very hyped and very beloved here on BookTube, so I was expecting to love it just the same. However, for some reason or another, I just didn't resonate with this book. This is basically about a demon and an angel, and they fall in love and it doesn't end well. It sounded pretty cool and interesting, but for some reason I just couldn't connect to the story, and I couldn't connect to the main character. The story was interesting enough, but otherwise I didn't make a connection to the story, and I am very, very sad about that. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. And the final book that I read during the month of April was a book that took me so long to read it, and it was Cassandra Clare's Lord of Shadows, which is the second book in the Dark Artifices series. I read this for Tome Topple. This was the only book on my TBR, and I just barely made it. This book is 700 plus pages, so obviously it took me a while to read it, and for some reason, for me, Cassandra Clare's books are so dense that it takes me a long time to read it, and it took me like over a week to read this monstrous of a book. But I ended up really liking it. I gave it 4 stars. The reason why I didn't get a 5-star rating is because I did feel like the book was just so unnecessarily long. There's so much to it, there's so many details, and I feel like it's just too much in my opinion, but I still loved the story. I loved everything, and the ending left me completely shattered, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get into Lady Midnight. But Lady Midnight is even longer than this one, so I really need to prepare myself. I really need to give myself a lot of time to read that book, because I believe it's like 880 pages or something like that, so it is massive. And there you go, guys. Those are all of the books that I read in the month of April, including my Tome Topple wrap-up, which was again just one book. Let me know down in the comments below how was your reading month during the month of April, because I would really love to know. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All of my social medias are linked down below, including Twitter, Instagram, and Goodreads if you like to follow me on those platforms. Hope to see you guys in my next video. Have a good day, guys, and keep reading. Bye!